be live. I have not been live in several days, and it's because it was my birthday and I went crazy and had an amazing time. So I wanted to hop on today and share a couple of things with you. I have a special guest who is definitely someone who is doing amazing things in our community and is a part of our tribe as well. And so we're going to be talking to Nikki Connor about what you need to do before you start investing in stuff. So I want to make sure, and y'all already know, I got to make sure that we are actually on live before we start getting jiggy and talking about some things that are relevant for you and where you're at right now. So let's just double check, make sure I'm live, and I am, and we are. So I know everyone is just kind of getting into the swing of things. I'm streaming this inside the group. We'll probably restream it on my personal page. So wherever you're viewing this from, hey y'all, come on in. Don't be shy. So as we're getting ready, I just want to share with you, we want to talk about what do you need to do before you invest, right? Like do 100% of this thing first. And so I want to talk to someone who is actually doing those things and how that is relevant for where you're at right now. So if I can just get a pulse check on who is on live, I see some of you are on. 100% of this. Hold on, let me turn myself down. So if you can just type in the comments where you're coming from, and I'll type mine as well. I'm in Oklahoma City. I'm showing up as support right now. So I'm in OKC. So our support team is in OKC, Vegas, Lawton, and Atlanta. So we have it covered, right? In Atlanta. That's our core team is in those spaces. So hey there. All right, so let me introduce to you Miss Nikki Connor. Nikki, where are you? Are you ready? Okay, let's see. Microphone check. Say something.
Hello. Hey, everyone.
Hey, nice to see you. Thanks for being a part of Domination Nation.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so what's up? So let's have a conversation. Hey, everybody. So we have Philadelphia in the house, Chicago house. Again, our support team is all over. I'm in OKC today. Lawton, Vegas, Atlanta. Our extended team is in Nashville. Somebody's in Cocoa, Florida. So nice to see everybody from everywhere while we're in quarantine, day 5011. So Nikki, so tell people what you do, who you are, and what you do.
So I'm a business strategist, and I help with entrepreneurs with their operational and the automation side to their business. And I am also a coach where I have programs where I help specifically coaches build their online programs and like map it out. And I also do have a mastermind as well where I teach them how to build paying communities.
Awesome. So Nikki is very much in the space and she is one of my clients. And the reason why she's here is because we did a contest that what we call gamification. And it was could we hang out or could we be buddies or something like that. And so Nikki won. And so this is our opportunity for you all to get to know her better, for me to get to know her better, and for her to tell you what she was doing first before she invested with me, what she was doing with the free content, and what that looks like. So how did you even come about, number one, getting into what you were doing? Because you were a nurse, you were RN before?
LVN, yes.
Yeah. So tell us about that. So how did you transition from LVN, having a baby, starting a business?
Okay, so I was in the nursing field for almost 10 years. I had actually started as a nurse's assistant when I was like 15. So I always thought, I'd retire as a nurse and that I would stay in that field. However, when I was about 24, 25, I started just feeling like I wasn't fulfilling my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I would find myself like really motivating patients that were in the bed, like, "Hey, get up, let's go! Like, you're not bedridden. Let's get out of this hospital." And I literally would, encourage them. And I just felt like, there was a bigger calling on my life. But oftentimes we stay in that position because it's a real job and we're comfortable and it's good money. So I stayed there, and the hospital that I was working for at the time, they do these things where they phase out, nurses if you don't have certain qualifications or certain degrees, and then they keep going higher up on what they want from you, and so they
Mm-hmm.
can phase out more nurses. And so I ended up just being laid off from that. Ended up having to figure it out. I went home and I just looked myself in the mirror and I was like, you have 2 days to figure this shit out. You can cry about it or whatever you got to do, but you have to figure it out because I had a family at the time. And so, long story short, I started out in direct sales and ended up doing amazing. And one thing that I don't want entrepreneurs to go through is where I went through, which is I didn't have my system set up. I didn't have a way of keeping contact of my contacts and my leads and people in one place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up going back into corporate America, which is when I started coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And when I began coaching, my main area was really to just help those not have to go back by setting up their systems in place.
Yeah.
So that's when I got started.
Awesome. That's how you got started. So when you came in contact with my brand, which was about 6 months ago, you said that you had been just using the free stuff. Like, let me implement everything I can for free. What does that look like for somebody? So you're coming in, had you been working or had you been putting stuff together before? Like, where were you before?
Okay, so I've been working with a coach. Pretty expensive, about a 5-figure coach, and I wasn't getting what I really needed as far as like the how-tos. I was spending a lot of money. I kind of felt like it was like a feel-good kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessarily giving me like what I needed, and I was coming out of postpartum depression like about 6 months ago, and I was scrolling around. I have a program called Design and Launch, and I had saw your program Design and Launch, and I'm like, I wonder what hers is about. And so anyway, so that's what actually caught my attention.
Okay.
And so I started with that, and it's completely different from mine.
Yeah.
But I started using that, just started redoing. I literally just started with those steps, those 5. I think it was the 5
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's literally where I started. Started getting feedback as to what my audience wanted from me. And so
Yeah.
I had to pivot off of the research that I got from that challenge. And that's where I ended up launching 2 things. I ended up launching my book compilation because I found your videos and you were teaching us how to do that. And I've also had a book compilation as well, where
Yeah.
I was very successful, but not all the other authors were. And so
Sure.
the reason why I was successful is because I had a strategy. And so I just took, the information that you put out about the book compilation and compiled it with my knowledge and
Okay, so
launched
hold on. Let's back up. So
that.
you were LVN, you went to school for that.
Mm-hmm.
You were faced with not having a job and you're like, okay, let me get my life together. Like this is my chance to do something else, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what that is yet. You took a leap out, you started doing direct sales.
Uh-huh.
You did pretty good. But then you went back to corporate America. And at that point, you still was having like this entrepreneurial thing. And if you can relate to having that entrepreneurial thing where it's like you try to put it down, but then it starts creeping back up in little different ways. Either you talk to somebody, you're inspired by something, you read something. So then you came back online. You had a baby. Your son's 10 months old now.
Yeah.
And you came back into the space and you said, okay, let me get clear. So you searched for the very thing you was creating and stumbled upon what I had created. And you took that, and as a result of Design and Launch, which is inside of our Tribe Domination Academy and inside of our Ready, Set, Launch, then you took that and you launched an anthology book compilation and another program. And how much money did you make?
$20K coming in the door.
$20K coming in the door.
In November and December, yes.
From a free challenge.
Yep. I started the information, I want to say the end of September, beginning of October, when I did the challenge. And then from the challenge, that's where I launched my mastermind, my membership community.
Mm-hmm.
And then I launched the book compilation. I kind of launched them within, 60 days of each other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still been growing, and our conference is actually coming up in October.
Awesome. What would you say was the biggest challenge for you before you got the information that you could implement on right away?
The biggest challenge for me was just knowing what to do. Um, there's a lot of coaches out there that will, they'll give you that feel good and they'll give you certain things, but I really needed like the technical kind of how to's kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so with you, it was like very implementing where you could just post it on your Facebook. Okay, this is what you do once you get it, and then this is how you
Mm-hmm.
pivot. And so the information that I got, it was very instrumental to me because I was able to apply it. Like
Now,
it was
what would you say was your barrier? Like, did you have any barriers coming into entrepreneurship, or were you like, whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it? Or what were your stumbling blocks? Because everybody has something, right?
yeah. So my stumbling block was when I got laid off. I had a car at the time, but it was not running. I was living with a boyfriend at the time who loved the idea of scrubs. So my biggest stumbling block was he made me choose either go back into scrubs and stay in scrubs or choose the relationship. I mean, or choose
Mm-hmm.
going off as a business.
Oh,
And
wait. We got some tea here. Wait, I didn't know she was gonna say that. So, but that's real. So he said either you can go back into the scrubs and be the medical professional,
mm-hmm.
or
Or go and do your little business thing because I was at the time was dealing with agoraphobia. And so it was completely different for him because he was, a homebody just like I was. But you
mm-hmm.
know how you always have that like that burning desire of something bigger that's inside of you, but
Yeah.
you just don't know how to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so at that point, I was like, "Eff it! Like whatever it is, I need to reveal it." Um, and one thing I didn't tell you was when I was a kid, I had an interaction with Maya Angelou, and she had actually planted a seed in me, letting me know that she believed that I could be a speaker, I could be an author,
Mm-hmm.
because it was a desire when I was 14
Yeah.
and I just
That's
didn't know
awesome.
how. And so I had just decided at that point, I drew a line in the sand, and just went for it. I had an
Wow.
opportunity.
So he made you either choose him and you going back to your old job life, or you can go and do that entrepreneur thing on your own.
Yeah, the company I had joined, we had an event in Florida, and I literally took everything I had plus going out, getting cans, whatever I had to do, changing in cans, whatever to get to Florida. And that was my first experience and encounter with entrepreneurship and coaching.
And what year was that?
That was actually in 2011.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, good for you. Good for you. For those of you who are tuning in right now, if you can relate to what Nikki is saying, please make sure you show her some love in the comments. If you know that that's been a part of your journey, even if it's sometimes it's other people standing in your way, sometimes it's your old attitude, sometimes it's your old habits. That are standing in your way. But what I love about what you're sharing and now how you're helping other entrepreneurs develop their systems. So, because the systems is a thing, like, and I share this all the time that I avoided the systems for like the first 2 years. I was having fun just online, I didn't want to seem automated, so I definitely was resistant to the systems because they seemed so complicated at the time. And of course, now we love them. But I think it's important for people to own that and understand that that there is kind of a line in the sand that you draw, before you. It's almost like a tipping point that you have with yourself. It's like, okay, it's like you at the beginning of some long road and path, and the path and on it is written. It says your destiny, and either you gotta decide to take that first step forward, not knowing what's on the other side of that curve, or you can go back to what's familiar to you. So ultimately, you decided that entrepreneurship is where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me, what does it look like so why did you invest in launch domination method? Because that was your next thing. So this was the title of this live says, before you invest, do this at 100%. And this is implementing everything that's free. Like, implement the free stuff to get a result to make the investment. Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest thing with me is every year I always assess what I'm going to do next year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I already knew because I had saw launch domination at the end of last year,
Mhm.
and I spoke to one of your assistants, and the investment just wasn't feasible
Mhm.
with me, the investment that I was currently in.
Mhm.
And so I, made it my best to be able to make as much as I could off of the free content, but I
Mhm.
knew coming in 2020 I was going to join Launch Domination.
That's awesome. That's really fantastic. And so tell us, how are you, what is your, where is it that you're wanting to grow with your business? So right now you have ironed out this automation and the systems and all of that and brought in your education and your experience to help your clients. Like, where is it that you're wanting to grow with your brand?
I am wanting to grow. I want to be able to grow more of a team. I do
Mhm.
have a team, but I want to be able to grow a bigger team where I have more clients and I'm taking on and helping them with automation. Right now, I'm kind of to the point where I'm at capacity. So
Mhm.
I need to be able to pass along more tasks to my team. So right now, I'm in the process of hiring a project manager and just seeking out that area to pass along. So launch domination, we just did our first or second week or whatever.
Mhm.
It touched on everywhere where I needed to fine tune so that I can
Mhm.
grow to that next level.
Absolutely. And what is this, what, like, being in business, because it's such a personal, this is such a personal journey. It's such a personal space when you're growing your own brand and you're wanting to do these different things. Like, where what would you say to somebody that's kind of in the middle of the road? Because right now, even right now, during the time of this live, we're in the middle of a quarantine. Many of us have been for a month already by now. And what would you say, just for people to maintain, what are you using to keep your own self motivated? Like, what's motivating you to make this really happen for yourself?
I feel like motivation is a trick. It's really all about your emotional intelligence and being
Mhm.
able to stay steady when everything else around you was going crazy. And I think that has always been a strength of mine, which is how I ended up in entrepreneurship. There's no way that I would have even been able to make the successful leap in the beginning if I didn't have that grounded emotional intelligence. So I just want to encourage anyone that's watching this video to really focus in and pay attention to what's coming out into like the feelings and emotions that you're feeling are real and it's okay. But just pay
Mhm.
attention to what's coming out because you're noticing you'll notice that it's from what you're pouring in during the good times. And so,
Absolutely.
in my community, I just made them do a journaling exercise where I'm like, write out everything that you feel and express it. It's real, but also pay attention to what have you been pouring into yourself during that time as to what got you there, right? And so, when I connected with you, I was like I said, I was dealing with postpartum depression and I was really paying attention to what I was pouring into myself and I had
Mhm.
to really get strategic about what I was listening to, who I was listening to.
Mhm.
And I got to the point where only thing that could be on TV is Shark Tank
Yeah.
if the
Yeah.
TV's on. And so it really helped me get out. So just pay attention to what's being poured into your spirit right now. And that's all I can really tell you.
That's so important. That's so important. And what I appreciate about what you said is the whole emotional intelligence piece, because you're right. A lot of people, and I think people, I don't know what, I often wonder people that uh, have low emotional intelligence. I often wonder what they're thinking about people like you and I, who recognize, first of all, that emotional intelligence is a thing, and that you can, and it's a muscle you can exercise. And it's not, and two, it's not that people are unfazed, right? It's that people have learned to manage them in the midst of exactly what you said, in the midst of chaos. I remember when I started what I call my first highest paying job before they fired me in 2003. And they, one of the conditions, I was a GM, and one of the conditions in the first week was I had to read the book Emotional Intelligence. And I was like, well, what's this? And she was like, this is a book that every single GM has to read, understand, and then live by. And so I was super young, like 26. So for me, I had never heard of emotional intelligence. So reading that and really understanding that really helped me learn how to regulate my emotions, which is why I'm the person to call. If there's chaos, call me because I can get everybody to calm down.
Absolutely. Same here.
So but that's really a skill because people are like, well, call so and so. But do you ever wonder, yeah, what was the cartoon where was it the rooster would always slap the hen because the hen would be like get a hold of yourself. I can't remember which cartoon it was,
I
but
can't
whatever.
remember either, but I see the image. Yeah.
Right? It's like get a hold of it's like get a hold of yourself. But having that emotional intelligence is very helpful in your business because it helps you make decisions that are not based on emotions, which are fleeting, but based on more logic and more longer term outcomes that you're looking to attain. So I think that that's really fantastic. What would you want entrepreneurs to know in regards to what it is that you do? Like, what do you think the biggest mistake is, and why people are avoiding systems before they learn about you or hire you?
I was watching a live of you the other day, and I think you mentioned something about, and it's so crazy because I was just telling my clients it. But a lot of people, they focus on the face and they focus on looking good. They don't focus on really being good.
Yeah.
What I mean by being good is like making sure that you are foundationally grounded and foundationally supported in your business. So the one thing that I would say is to definitely, connect with someone that can help you with your systems in your business from the start and figure out how they can help you grow from the ground. Because if you focus on the face, like people go out when they start business, like, oh, I need a logo or oh, I need a website. Like, no, you really need to make sure that your operations are in order and that they're intact before you start focusing on the face. Because a lot of times when you get your operational and your ground level stuff done, you end up doing stuff like the design and launch challenge, and then you figure out, well, these people don't even want what I'm putting out. Then you're stuck with having to spend thousands of dollars of having to rebrand and retarget your audience. So I would just say focus on groundwork and who you are, your niche yourself down, basically.
And I think this is a good time I think I've heard a lot of people say that they're grounding right now, that they're going back and doing the things that they took for granted, before, setting up the system, setting up the CRM, writing the emails, doing all those things. I think that are really necessary. And I appreciate you saying grounding because it is really important. And what you'll find is people want to avoid it because it's not the sexy result. It's like, oh, well, me putting my filing system or knowing how I'm going to onboard clients, that's not going to bring me money. But at the end of the day, it's going to keep money. It's going to keep you focused on where you should be focused as a business owner. And it's going to keep money in your system when people have a good experience. And so that's really important. So thank you for bringing that up. Where can people find you? I know I had I'm going to flash your site up here. And I think you have like a free checklist or something that people can take advantage of.
Yes, it's a free how to start a business checklist. And you can get it at nikkiconnor.info. And then you can also just find me on Facebook, Nikki Connor, NIKKICONER. And I do have a free community called the Empowered CEO Lounge, where we are going to be giving operational and marketing tips. And it's a great community to just join. And when you're at the beginning stage, I know what it's like when you first get started to not have a community. So it's really good to be able to have others to connect with and collaborate with as well.
And someone just said something. Hold on, let me make sure. Someone said, I think is that Renita? I can't remember. Miss Press says, is grounding like surveys? No, she means getting your foundation together. Not really. I mean, sometimes, just being clear on it's all the things that's in the blueprint. Yeah. So if you have the blueprint, that's what she's talking about. She's talking about making sure that your foundation is set up, that you know what the business is doing, what you're going to be selling, that the system is created, that the opt-in works, that, if there's a phone number, that it works, that the voicemail is accurate, that your paperwork is filed, that, whatever the foundational things is for you. So when you go and you look at the business blueprint and you print out that page, from on our side of things, then that will tell you that. But also she has a checklist that you can go to, and the site is scrolling at the bottom of your screen. So yeah, and being grounded too, I think it's just understanding what is it that you're creating, right, Nikki? Like, what is it that you are creating?
And their journey, that's the biggest part. We didn't even touch on that. But the big part of operation is when I come on as a client, like, how am I going to experience you, right? Like, who wants to get like, oh, here's my Cash App, or here, let me send you a Cash App request, right? Like, how do you create that customer's journey from onboarding all the way to offboarding? It's huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. So why have you stuck around? Apparently you must like it here in the nation.
I'm one of those silent workers where I take what I need and then I go in my little in my little space and just get it done. So the reason why I've stuck around is because the content is valuable, and the community is very supportive. Due to this Corona thing, we weren't able to actually go out for our birthdays.
Yeah.
And I actually met Shaniqua in the group, and she actually was the host of my games of my virtual party.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
tag Shaniqua Cannon.
Yes.
That's so much fun. I love that. I love that. And you know what? That's really what we want to create here. It's like, because we're not just online. Life is like all over the place and doing all kinds of things together and experiencing multitude of things, not just, building stuff and launching together, but just also regular life. And I think if you can't have fun with the people that are on the same journey as you, then none of us should be doing what we're doing. This should be a joy. Last question. So for you all that don't know, if you're just tuning in, Nikki is the client who won the gamification that we were playing around with just to keep everybody's mind like just off of the craziness. And she is the one that got the most. I think, did you get a 9 or a 10 on guessing all the things about me? How did you even know that stuff?
So honestly, I want to say I knew about 7 for sure. And then there were 2 that I kind of wasn't sure, but then I knew you were Aries like me. And so I think one of them was like travel or whatever. I'm like, okay, I know she was travel and all this other stuff. And so that was one I didn't know. And the other one was like the Love is Blind. I'm like, we were just talking about that on Facebook. So yeah, so I didn't know, but I knew the other stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for paying attention and for being a part of our community and for supporting the entrepreneurial platform so that people can help develop their systems, get their stuff together. You guys make sure you're following Nikki at Nikki Koner, CONER.info. She has a free checklist there that you can take advantage of. And I just wanted to do this spotlight just so people can meet more of the people that are doing fun and amazing things. Nikki, any closing words?
Honestly, a lot of you have, we were talking about this before we got on live, but a lot of you have tools in your tool belt, and it's just a matter of you just using it, utilizing what you already have, and knowing that you're enough, and just get started. That's all I can really say.
Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Listen, for those of you tuning in right now, if you're connected to me on my personal page, Aprielle Franks, I'm about to go live. So I'll see y'all over there. Make sure you're following Nikki, and you can find her in her group, The Empowered CEO Lounge. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.